Right Through the Arts is a documentary series on celebrated South African artists. Each episode follows an artist's creative journey, challenging them to not only produce a work in an unfamiliar medium, but also to do it in just 5 days. By following the process that unfolds, viewers are given a unique insight into how artists think and work in a particular medium, and how contemporary South African art is an integral part of conversations about the world around us. Artist Kathryn Smith's critically acclaimed work often features recreations of fictional and historical crime scenes and characters. She's a fanatical researcher who uses forensic material and other forms of evidence to construct images that blur the difference between truth and fiction.
I'm Kathryn Smith. I'm a contemporary artist. Well, an artist, I suppose, that works in the contemporary moment. But I also lecture fine arts at the University of Stellenbosch. I'm a senior lecturer and run the Fine Arts Studio Practice program. My work is very research-orientated, but I do a lot of writing about art and also curate exhibitions. So the kind of intellectual framing of artistic practice and making certain kinds of practice public is very much what I suppose are my sort of central areas of interest. I'm very interested in writing histories or accounts of events that maybe don't enjoy wide knowledge yet, so sort of writing things into history. So a lot of that requires relying on experiences of individuals who were either there or, so the idea of the human being as an archive. So I love interviewing people, almost obsessively. Okay, this is my studio, a new studio, just moved in a few days ago. I read a lot. This is some of my reference material. This is the library, a lot of dark and deadly stuff that I tend to use to inform what I do. A lot of my work centers on sort of criminal narratives. So I read a lot of forensic case studies, but I also tend to read a lot of the more B-grade sort of true crime books. I've been reading this material since about the age of 10, much to my mother's great anxiety. But it was always a question for me, do I go into that field or do I work more creatively? And obviously chose the more creative approach, but have subsequently established relationships for people in the forensic field who see the analogies that I try and make between this process of reconstruction, because that's really what you're doing. You're working with kind of visual clues to try and put a story back together. So I do that by doing a lot of reading, but then I also put up big sheets of paper, and I start any kind of process by trying to process what I'm thinking, which is always around a central kind of narrative that's got characters, and start to map it through writing. It is all very collage orientated, and I suppose my interest in the surrealists and the Dadaists and people, and there's a kind of art historical connection that makes that media make sense. There's a kind of violence associated with collage because you're fragmenting and joining things together in ways that are maybe not meant to be, but can somehow fit and create a third thing. So that's what I try and do, and try and get to other places with these stories that's beyond what simply gets reported, but to try and get to a kind of emotional space, a kind of thought print. I've been commissioned to make a 3-minute work in motion picture, and the way that I've chosen to approach it is to try and create an impressionistic portrait of a character who will be a central character in a crime fiction novel. The novel is being written as we speak. It's still sort of in the planning stages. But this character doesn't remember. This character is an artist, and she is preparing for an exhibition, and a lot of her work takes a very kind of forensic look at material and surroundings and so on. And in the process of making the work for the exhibition, memories about the death of her mother, which she had repressed, start to surface through the kinds of marks that she's generating. I've been in conversation with the novelist, Margie Orford, and this will be her 4th book in the Claire Hart series, as far as I understand. And when she was explaining the kind of character development to me, she mentioned that how Sophie begins to remember is sort of locked into an actual event that happened in Cape Town a few years ago, where while they were preparing a building site for a new development, they unearthed skeletons on Prestwich Street, which is in Greenpoint. And the discovery of these skeletons, Margie said, gave her an idea for, this character. And when this event happens in this character's life, as far as I understand it, this is what she decides to now work with. So what I really like about that is my own work often plays a lot of games with history and with the truth. So having a fictional character who's sort of inspired by an actual event makes it quite an interesting relationship between imagination and space, actual site. So for the work that I've been commissioned to make for this show, we are going to try and figure out this character, Sophie Brown, what are some of the things that motivate her, and what kind of work she makes potentially, and see whether we can't come up with some kind of visual portrait of this person, using Margie's storyline as a kind of point of entry for me to then start to imagine something of Sophie's motivations.
In this episode of Right Through the Arts, Kathryn is challenged to visualize a fictional character called Sophie Brown for a crime thriller that author Margie Orford is busy writing.
Hello. How are you? Good.
Margie Orford writes thrillers. Her books have been released worldwide and translated into 7 languages. Her first novel, Like Clockwork, has sold 80,000 copies in Germany alone.
Little bed and little desk.
No, because I don't know if you get my character, the person who hires Claire, of course, to come and investigate her, she just sort of came to me, formed, this artist called Sophie Brown, and she just was born with this name. I don't know, that's just how. So what Sophie does, and this is when I saw the stuff that you'd been doing, which is kind of, to me, what you kind of act as a transmitter. For a whole lot of different forces that are going on, and then you kind of turn it into something. It's like an empty space. So my artist character is working on an exhibition.
How old is Sophie when she's making this show?
She is between 28 and 33. She's around about that age. She's witnessed it when she's 3. I want to structure the whole book with her starting the first sketches towards a whole body of artworks. Through that, the creation of these artworks, which starts with this response to this like fully fledged exhibition, to what she's working towards, she discovers the truth. Because that is her mother's body. She's witnessed it when she's 3 or 4. What she did was her mother and her mother's lover, not her own father, left the house for a walk. She's afraid, she follows them. They think she's asleep, she follows them. So it's got that culpability, that voyeur thing, which in a way, to me, is sometimes what artists do.
Always.
Because one of the things with crime fiction is how you always start with the discovery of a corpse that needs to, restitution needs to be done.
So the facts are there to create a kind of structure, but within that you can do other things with the so-called evidence.
Exactly.
It's day 2. Kathryn is spending the morning with Margie, exploring the locations where her novel, The Quarry, is set. These locations will become the settings for Kathryn's 3-minute portrait of Sophie Brown.
And you can see it all the way around, so he can walk and watch.
So there's that nice sort of circular.
Yeah, and then they go right down, and then there's this sort of domestic, you'll see this sort of door, and then he can kill her. So it is premeditated. Just wasn't planned.
Okay, this is day 2. I'm starting my hunt for possible locations for my portrait of Sophie. We're standing on the slopes of Table Mountain. We're sort of somewhere above Higovale, I think. And Margie's meeting me here because, as far as I understand, this is the beginning, well, this is the origin of the story that I'm going to be working from to create my portrait. So she's going to take us on a tour to the quarry. Where
that Prestwich Street site where they found the body.
Yes.
So that big yellow thing.
Yes.
Just along from there, just behind her. What would have happened with Sophie's mother?
Yes.
Sabina, they would have walked. Can you see this wire up at the top?
Right.
They would have actually walked along the top down. It takes you down to where those 2 trees are.
Yes.
And that's where you just have this precipice.
Right.
And then they would have walked around. That's where he would have stopped up there, spoke, and that's when he would have seen, really, he's got no way of luring her back. She's awkward, she's pregnant, so she struggles down here slowly. It's quite slippery. And then they're going here for a rest.
Okay. And that's where the deed is done.
You were talking about the Narcissus thing.
Yes, oh, it's completely perfect because the water's so still.
So still, it's like dead. It's already dead. This is like the theatre of her death. It's a theatre of the whole drama that's going to unfold.
My head at this stage is sort of almost too full of pictures, and I'm trying to sort of work through them. The sounds that I heard up there makes me think that there should be no dialogue in the final work at all. More of a kind of ambient sound, sort of droning, but there's an interesting sort of knocking and an echoing. And the echoing becomes a very interesting visual idea because the reflections in the pool are a kind of echo of forms that become ghosts in the actual reflection. So there's a lot that I can work with, I think. It feels like a very haunted place, and those places always work well for me. Yeah, the Prestwich Memorial is just over there, that sort of brick building.
Vietnamese bar.
Disco K.
Hey, video key. Okay, this is the Prestwich Memorial, which is not actually on Prestwich Street. But the bodies that were found, the skeletons, the mass grave that was found on Prestwich Street were then moved here. And it was originally the finding of that mass grave. I saw this one dramatic image with all the sort of loamy soil and then these craniums and femurs, the big bones that kind of survived, kind of packed in there. Building came to a halt and was quickly resolved. This thing was commissioned to build this kind of ossuary and memorial. Should we go inside?
Yeah, I think it's fabulous. In my trying to get to know Sophie, it's about finding spaces that are unfamiliar and risky, but also finding the points of familiarity within that strangeness. Okay, we're in Ravensmead, which is sort of north of the centre of Cape Town, and we've been referred to a place which is apparently wig specialist. So we're coming to find the ultimate blonde wig. I'm Kathryn. Hi, nice to meet you. Try them on. Have you got a mirror where we could try them on?
There's a mirror there.
Inside.
Okay.
Inside
I've got that one for you. The blondes is very difficult because everybody wants blondes.
Okay.
So I had to sit, you know. That won't be a problem.
Now we can put a baldy cap on me.
Very easy.
Can I have a look?
Suits you.
If we wanted to restyle this,
Transformation.
can we do that?
Then
It's a young person who wants to mimic the style of the 50s, but not have it completely true to that very set 1950s look. I'd like to look at one that's a little looser, just to see what that might look like. But in terms of being able to behave in a different way, I think it's a very necessary device.
all covered there, it's all covered. All covered. These are all different
They're
styles.
strange, they're like little brides.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Thing is,
Yeah, show me Elvis. Oh, there he is.
Elvis.
So the groceries have to fight for place with your wigs.
There was no space for it. Even up here, I've got some wigs like Sophia's and
Oh, wow.
Van Riebeek's and stuff.
Oh, that one's fabulous.
Yeah, that's also a nice one.
I'm in love with this one. It's a love relationship.
And then that's the Antoinette's, you know.
You see, this is right because it's a bit punk, but it's still retro.
I wanted
Well
to show you about
spotted.
the white, pure white one.
This is my Sophie.
Those are my really style myself.
I'm glad I've got witnesses today. Now you know why I'm so thin? Because there's no grocery in the cupboards, only weeks. Only weeks.
Very nutritious.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
only weeks.
I like this wig because it is both sort of retro and contemporary, I think. I haven't seen anyone with this kind of hairstyle. And for me, visually, it works very well because we can do lots of different angles. The two profiles will look different. And the idea with this character is that she's got two sides. She's got a kind of light side and a dark side and a good side and a not so good side. So I think all round she becomes quite a full sort of characterization of her just in the hair. Cool, I've got my wig. We can go. Good. Teresa, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
It was very nice to meet you. Today we found outfits, wigs. I got a very clear sense of Sophie. Visited, I think, the key sites for the piece. I don't think I'm going to have to do much else in terms of scouting or detective work. I think whatever else I need can happen in post-production, and it'll be from references that I have collected over years in the studio. I've managed to track down a film that was one of Margie's initial visual references for her book, which is called The Lady of Shanghai. And it's an Orson Welles piece. And the fact that Rita Hayworth, who played the female lead in this film, had her flaming red hair cut short and dyed champagne blonde. So for the wig that we found today, bring on Rita Hayworth.
I'm aiming at you, lover. Of course, killing you is killing myself. It's the same thing. But you know, I'm pretty tired of both of us.
It's day 3. Kathryn arrives at her studio in Woodstock. By watching her creative process unfold, we'll see her evolve an interpretation of the Sophie Brown character in Margie's thriller.
Freezing in the studio this morning for some reason, but I think it's warming up now. Otherwise, just spent the morning thinking how on earth to tell quite a complicated story in 3 minutes. It's quite an interesting thing trying to shift from all the information that Margie has given me about the character, which in a book form you have maybe several hundred pages in which to tell the story, and I have 3 minutes to tell it also visually. I want to try and use as little spoken word as possible. There might be text that you can read within it. For the rest of the day, there are a couple of things that I need to still source. I've managed to find Sophie's hair. Sophie still needs shoes. And Sophie has a dress, and I need to look for something that I've used in a previous work, but I think which is ideal for what Sophie will be wearing at the quarry. And I like the idea of using imagery from older work that kind of repeats itself. It sort of makes a good connection back to this previous piece. Yeah, so I'm basically trying to find as many visual solutions and visual tricks to deal with the amount of information that I have to try and convey. My model looks somewhat sunburned. This is the one I thought for Sophie at the quarry. It's this very diaphanous night dress. Sophie doesn't remember the death of her mother, but in actual fact, she did witness it as a young child who crept out of bed and followed her mother on a walk with a man to the quarry where the event happened. So the idea of seeing an adult Sophie in a night dress sort of makes a connection to how I imagine small Sophie in her night dress, sort of repeating a walk that she did as a child, and she's now back there as an adult trying to put the pieces back together. So I think this is the one for Sophie at the quarry. Margie can create her own image of the mother. I think she's got quite a clear idea of it was a summer's day when the murder happened, so she would be wearing probably the dress that she would have been wearing when the event took place. I would like her to appear as the mother, and it will really be a kind of split second. I mean, for all the production in film, what I love about it, it's sort of strangely futile. You sort of plan and plan and plan, and then maybe it ends up being 3 seconds of film. The surrealist movement has influenced cinema, and I think in noir there were certainly elements of that. And in The Lady of Shanghai, certainly, Orson Welles was looking at surrealism for that mirror sequence in the end, which is obviously a huge point of reference for the film itself. So it's about this sort of constant relay between these different connections and references, and trying to make sense of them as one big visual text, but picking out those parts that can really hold the story without getting overly complicated.
It's day 4. A large crew has been assembled to film through the night in a freezing cold and windy Cape Town.
I'm being morphed into the dead mother in my own book. Kathryn's completely taken over my book now, it would appear. And I'm being made up as Sabina, which is Sophie's mother, who disappears. That's right.
And who's doing your makeup?
Candice is doing my makeup.
I'm paling her up, so but still keeping her beautiful, so it's an iridescence. Because you've got to feel beautiful when you're on camera.
Yeah, I agree.
But because it's all about reflections, I'm even thinking about moths. When, for protection, they have eyes on their wings. So to sort of create something like that.
I think I'm going to go and follow them around a little bit and just find out exactly what the sequences will be. I've asked Kathryn to create a shot list for me of the most important moments in Sophie's life. So I think those will be used as images in an exhibition finally. More than that, I don't really know, but I'm hoping to get a feel from everything when I see what lights get set up, and then I'm going to just play around and see what we can make.
We're building a grave site cairn, which is where the mum is buried, but no one knows. She intuits it, she feels it. And she sees the ghost across the water. It's going to be very spooky. Yeah, very spooky place.
You think it's going to be quite a challenge?
We like the sun. We want more art in the sun. There's that wonderful clicking sound. I heard it the other morning when we were here. It's like squidgy. Hello.
I can't need keys. Keys are good.
How are you doing, Sophie?
Whew. Trying to find Sophie. She's everywhere.
Is she?
Yeah. I've never been blonde. Well, actually, I've been blonde in photographs.
And it'll look great from up there because you're like...
I think so. I
punch out,
hope that the mad platinum hair is going to do this big, like, halo.
So that's on a zoom.
That's fab. And the rocks are that nice bright white. I'm not sure how far we are now. It seems that everything's coming together really well, though. James and I are just discussing how we have people appear without physically appearing. So how we create a sense of a haunting or ghosts. So working out what reflects in the water, what doesn't, and how we're going to film it so that in the edit it looks plausible, that there's a kind of visitation at the quarry. And through Sophie's action, what she's doing in the water, is her desire to kind of evoke a spirit, and the spirit then effectively appears.
I think she's, on a wide scale, she's trying to understand the world and how things, the structures work. And by looking into the abnormal, that is the extreme. It's in all of us, you know. It's not as if we're all killers, but we all have moments of anger and so on. So these extreme killers, because they're not just murderers, these are serial killers and so on she's interested in. They are kind of walking examples of this kind of monster.
She's incognito there. Freezing. It was really creepy. Let me sip on my coffee. Yeah, suddenly that last one, I had the feeling of like switching from me into this character, the mother, the dead mother. And I just looked over and Kathryn looked across at the same time, being Sophie. So it was just like this spooky little chill, I suppose, when it happens.
And I'm dreading having to go back into the water, but we've got 2 more setups to do, and then we're finished. Here. Then we move on to downtown.
I think Kathryn often immerses herself into perhaps the victim's position to understand the situations, but she also places herself in the situation of the perpetrator. Her work in London, where she followed the same routes as the serial killer and so on. You know, it's one thing being an artist and creating immersive environments. It's another thing literally immersing yourself and then sharing that with the audience. And it's quite dangerous. I think if Kathryn wasn't, if she didn't understand herself so well, it could be a very precarious situation.
Either this corner or this corner.
I'll get out, we'll shoot there. Alright, yeah? Okay, I've got speed and action.
And walk. Watch that the face isn't always the same. Okay, stop.
I feel about the still photographer.
Oh, it's interesting. We got 3 shoots going on once, yeah? We got the TV shoot, we got the film shoot, and we got the still shoot.
Is it a nice team?
That was fantastic. I would actually carry on for another couple of days, but I think you guys have all, like, given up. Okay. And walk out of frame. Okay, lovely. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to the memorial. I need to change now. Go.
The final countdown.
So someone needs to hand me this.
Yeah.
As if I'm Sophie. Oh no, as if they're Sophie. And then I'm gonna walk out of frame that way. I'm gonna stick it, because it's quite well lit, that corner piece of wall. I'm gonna stick this on the wall as I walk past. This. Okay, we're done. We're done. Well, we still need to go and shoot the sunrise, but that's a sort of time-lapse locked off thing, and I think I get to go home and sleep because I have a singing lesson in a few hours, and then we've got to start the edit. So it's been a very long night. The crew's been amazing. I think it's probably about 5 o'clock in the morning, maybe a bit later, I don't know. Sun's starting to rise. We're gonna have to dash off to the quarry now to get the sun rising.
It's day 5. Kathryn has a mortal fear of singing, yet has taken on the additional challenge of singing for her visual portrait of Sophie Brown. Having had only a few hours sleep, Kathryn arrives for a singing lesson with musician Julia Rainham.
I know now who I'm singing to, having done it 125,000 times last night. I've got a real sense of, and also the kind of a kind of agony, I suppose, that would undercut what I imagine how this person is singing the song, was very present and physical last night. So.
Okay.
You make me feel a little older, like a full-grown woman might. But when you've gone, I grow colder. Come to me again in the cold, cold night. In the cold, cold night. Yeah, it changes. I hear you walking by my front door. I hear the creaking of the kitchen floor. I don't care what other people say. I'm gonna love you anyway. Come to me again in the cold, cold night. Yes, we're late. We have to go to, I think it's called Juice Studios, or which is a final mixing studio.
My crew.
Well, I saw you standing in the corner. Come to me again in the cold, cold night. The things we do for love.
How was it?
It was great. Yeah, it's a nice little alone place in there. I like little alone places. Avoided all, as much as sort of I planned it like a kind of music video economy narrative, it mustn't read like a music video. Standing in the corner. So, and it doesn't sound like me. It's great. I mean, I like the fact that it sounds completely disembodied, you know. I don't have to take responsibility for it at all. I mean, I was really happy having had the training with Julia, because I understand now that the voice is actually part of your body and you need to sort of be in your body when you do it. But it makes it too much of a kind of performance. And my sort of dabblings in performance have always been more with performance as a device rather than to be a performance as in a big act. The song is in tone and lyric and I suppose, yeah, in every aspect, it's just so appropriate for the piece. You know, it is a kind of echo, and the whole piece is working with the idea of echo. And that works for me.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so it's day 5. The shoot has been done. We are all, I think, suffering from some form of post-shoot exhaustion.
It's going very well. We've got 3 minutes. No, we've got how many minutes? We've got about 2 minutes. So we're nearly finished. And then we're going to make it look very nice. Yeah?
Absolutely. It looks very nice already. I mean, obviously, we've got a script that we're working off. And I had pictures in my head of how I wanted it to look. That's been realized, which is amazing, because it's very seldom that happens the way that you imagine it to be. But now we've got to deal with it as a 3-minute film in its own right, despite, you know, anything else that we might be thinking about. It has to work as a 3-minute movie. Okay, so a panel has to watch this. The panel, I suppose, represents the first step of the public domain before broadcast. And the panel is also made up of, I suppose, art world or critical professionals who hopefully will have some interesting things to say. Hopefully they won't be too murderous. And I'd be very interested to see what they say, because, you know, if they know, if people on the panel do know my work, they'll certainly recognize some images or emblems that are recurring in my work.
When an artist puts a work on public display in a gallery or museum, it invites comments and criticism from anyone who sees the work. We put Kathryn's work up at the Goodman Gallery Cape and asked 3 well-respected critics and curators what they thought about her work, Trauma Diorama 1, The Quarry. Kathryn and Margie Orford watch from another room.
Sure.
Sure. Baffling.
Yeah, it's a very, very tense, tough film. I think very dense.
Okay.
It's very, very, very layered. I think there was a lot there. I mean, on the surface, it's as you got the original situation that you guys have set up, which is of a writer that's written this novel or is about to write this novel, and it's kind of with this character that resembles Kathryn Smith in it, and then this is a movie about that process and it's got Kathryn Smith in it, playing herself, playing this artist, and it's very
To give a summary.
you know, like layers and layers.
The element of death or death takes on certain characters. So you have the artist, who is Sophie, the character.
Good, they got that.
And the other personification then is the artist Kathryn Smith, you know, all playing around in that. And then there's also the death of this little unborn fetus or the child. And for me, that's sort of playing with little skulls and that is a sort of way of working through the process of memory and loss and mourning. There's a lot. Like you're saying, there's a lot of layers that one plays within this.
That's interesting.
And
yeah,
one
that's
of
good.
which is
Feather bones.
that Kathryn does play in that space mystery or investigation behind stories around death. But it's also, there's something quite romantic and beautiful about it.
Yeah. There's something beautiful and uncanny at the same time. So you reach it in specifically that scene where she's by the water. And for me, the first time I saw it, I thought of A Midsummer Night's Dream and, you know, the fairies. But then, you know, she's putting skulls in the water in a very beautiful way. So it's strangely beautiful.
Actually reminded me of, talking of other literature references, or rather film references, it reminded me of Unshin Andalou, that early surrealist film that I think Dali made, that very much is about like death and those sort of things, and I guess investigation of the subconscious, but it also uses like those kind of almost cheesy sort of effects, you know, like the fade in and out and the blood and like those things. It was very, very similar sort of, I don't know, feeling.
The blood coming through the nose can be explained medically, but there's also another part of it where, let's say, for example, sand people, when they're in trance, or in order for them to, that is sort of the result of a dance and engaging with spirits, whether they be animal spirits or whatever. So I think there's that element that's also being drawn in there.
Yeah.
And there's lots of beautiful elements, the water as well, you know. The reference to water can be something along the lines of a reference to Narcissus.
10.5.
But also it's a reference to a sea of bodies, a sea of death that's sort of playing as well musically underneath, under the surface. It's beautiful, but I'm finding it difficult to language it.
Yeah. I like the thing about Narcisse, because that is so, like the reflection and the mirroring is so sort of reflects what we see in the whole film, which is that continual reflection and mirroring and those sort of elements.
See, we did it. It's communicated properly.
It's worked.
It's worked.
Is that how you tell?
That's how you tell, I think. You want someone to echo the thoughts that you had when you were trying to make it, and you're trying to work through all the possible permutations of imagery that you can use. Then you pick one that you hope is going to be very kind of...
the force field.
It's going to penetrate the force field. It's going to be sort of specific, but it's also going to have a kind of global, I want to say global, but I mean it's going to communicate to more than just one person.
Or universal.
Universal, thank you. I thought the response was quite perfect. I liked that they didn't really know what to say at first. That sort of uncomfortable silence and nervous laughter was good. Because obviously it had affected them in some way. And the minute they'd started to kind of pick out the points that I think that were hooks for them, the conversation just got this momentum of its own, and that's exactly what I wanted, because the piece is very dense, it is very layered. I enjoy the discussion that a work can generate. So it's not all laid out for you. You've got to do some work. And that poster that I put up at the end of the film by putting yourself in the position of the hunter is how I would like viewers to interact with artworks, that they're not passive, that it's a very active process and you do the work and you engage. The process itself was a complete whirlwind. If I think about it now, the amount of stuff that we got done in a week is completely mad. I've forgotten what happened on each day. When it came to the crunch, day 2, and one had to start really locking down what the ideas were going to be, I tend to work in quite a solitary way, and I rely on the fact that I'm left alone for long periods of time to work things through. I didn't have the time for that. I didn't have the luxury of time, and I also didn't have the luxury of necessarily being left alone for that long. So that was a bit of an anxiety. But I think that level of intensity was really good. I really do enjoy working under pressure. It's not that it's not stressful, it really is. But the stress for me focuses my energy in a certain way, so that was really good. Working with Margie has been an amazing shift for me, because it definitely did make me think about my own creative processes, because I was forced to engage with material that was the product of someone else's creative process. And in a way, it's not easier to do that, but certainly having the parameters of characters and a storyline in place, and then me using that kind of constraint, but it's also an immense freedom.